Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the October 14th, 2020 Norwood Airport Commission meeting. This meeting is on the go-to meeting format and is being recorded by NCM. Are there any other entities out there recording this meeting? Okay, so before we get to the agenda, Russ has some news.
Mr. Chairman,
Russ.
go ahead. You're coming in a little garbled. Could you just say that again?
Yeah, so welcome everyone to the meeting. And before we get to the agenda, you had some sad news to provide to the commission and the public.
Yes, I got a call last week, late last week, from the LeBlanc family, and we got the news that Les LeBlanc, who had been a long-serving airport commissioner, had passed away. Les had had some health issues, and unfortunately, last Wednesday night he passed away. And I just wanted to pass along a little bit about Les's contributions to the commission. I went to the selectmen to find out exactly what the dates were that Les served. He was appointed to the Airport Commission in March of 2002 and served for just over 16 years until May of 2018. He was a private pilot, was well known on the airport, and had also had at one time a little aerial photography business. Les was a retired NOAA detective as well. But during his tenure on the Airport Commission, the 16 years that he served, the airport underwent a number of major renovations. These included the reconstruction of the main runway, reconstruction of 4 taxiways, the north-south taxi lane, the reconstruction of the West Apron, DC-3 apron, the Lots ABC apron, and the Gate 3 taxi lane. He also was on hand when we did all the security upgrades following 9/11. And finally, and certainly not all-inclusive in the list, he was on the board when we completed both Phase 1 and Phase 2 of the Welch Administration Building. I know that Les loved the airport, and when he wasn't involved with commission activities, he just liked to park out by one of the aprons and watch the planes take off and land, sometimes doing it for hours and sometimes daily. He definitely loved the airport. He was a big supporter of the airport, and I know that when he was even dealing with his health issues, he made a point to come down. So I did pass along to his son, Billy LeBlanc, retired Norwood firefighter, the condolences of the Airport Commission, as well as my condolences. So I just wanted to make the commission and the town of Norwood aware of that.
Yeah, thank you, Russ. I had the honor to serve with Les for those 16 years, and he certainly had a passion for the airport and for the town of Norwood, not just for the airport users, but the community around it. And he certainly will be missed. And I know he had some health issues, and I have to believe he's in a great place right now. And may God bless Les and his family, and we're all going to miss him. Okay, without further ado, we'll go on to the agenda. First up under projects, we have AIP project update with Du Bois and King.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. For the record, Jeff Adler with Du Bois and King. So I'd like to give an update regarding the environmental assessment that we're working on for the paved safety areas and the taxiway Charlie relocation. We've basically been working very diligently over the last month to put together a package, which would be the first package that we would submit to MEPA, which is the first step in the process. We're hoping that within the next few weeks, we'll be able to do a submission on that. And that would start a clock where the first step would be to get a MEPA certificate saying that they're generally okay with our preferred alternative for the safety areas and for, taxiway Charlie. And then that would just start the next steps moving forward with the entire process. We've had a couple of conference calls with the MEPA office as well as the DEP office. And right now we feel pretty good in talking with those folks that, they understand the need for the project and they understand the importance of certainly of paving the safety areas. And that's an important safety project. So I think right now we're in pretty good shape and, we'll do the filing and then we'll, move through the steps. But at this point, I think we're in pretty good shape about getting our first submission pulled together and in front of the permitting agencies. So with that, I guess I'll be happy to answer any questions if anybody has any.
Thank you, Jeff. Since there are no other questions, while you're here, Jeff, as part of the packet, we have a payment request to Du Bois and King for the work on the environmental assessment. And it's for the amount of payment request number 1, the amount of $48,000. $49.34, and this is being funded by the FAA 100%. So I look for a motion to pay request number 1 to Du Bois. Could anyone hear that?
I did not. It was broken up. It was completely
Can you
garbled.
hear me now, John?
I can,
How's
but
that,
you're
John?
very, very broken up.
Yeah, it's actually John's right, it's breaking up. I'm actually muting out those who aren't speaking to try and keep the signal from derogating, but you may want to just go through that again, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, so that's right, Russ. If you're not speaking, if you could mute yourself, because it does interfere with the system, unfortunately. So, looking for a motion to pay the amount of 34 cents for the environmental assessment, and it's 100% funded by the FAA.
Motion made.
Motion made.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor? Mr. Sheehan,
Yes.
Mr. Corcoran,
Yes.
Mr. Ryan votes yes. Next on the agenda, September 9th, 2020, regular business meeting minutes.
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Sheehan,
make a motion to approve the regular business meetings of September 9th, 2020.
motion made.
Second. Seconded.
Motion made and seconded. Mr. Sheehan?
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Cochran.
Yes.
Mr. Cochran?
Yes.
And Mr. Ryan votes yes. Thank you. Next on the agenda, the airport manager's report.
Mr. Chairman, I didn't have anything to add to the written record if anyone had any questions. Otherwise, I'd like to let the written record stand.
If I may, that is pretty impressive, the quarter, nearly $13,000 in landing fees, Russ.
Yes, I
That shows a
actually,
lot of activity.
yeah, I'm going to actually, Mr. Chairman, I'm going to check our records on that. That may be the best quarter we've had. That's a good sign that the airport's doing pretty well in this somewhat depressed economy, given the pandemic. And I was pretty happy to get the check for that amount.
Yeah, that's terrific. And one of the things, the energy saving initiative, Russ has met with the facilities department, and by changing over the lights around the Welch building and the ground floor, which was built back in '07, we're almost going to realize a savings of close to $13,000 a year, Russ, in electrical costs.
Yes, that's correct. That's what we're looking to save the town, save the airport department. We are looking for some lighting beyond the initial study. I think we're looking at getting some of the ramp lighting changed over to LED as well. I think that'll be a cost savings.
And Russ, you met with member of the FinCom, Bob Donnelly, about the airport finances. And once again, the airport is doing pretty well, considering we're in the middle of a pandemic and we have 2 apron areas that were receiving 0 income.
That's correct, Mr. Chairman. FinCom member Bob Donnelly did meet with me. He went over some of essentially the financial summary for FY20. And my understanding was he was going to present that to the Finance Commission. Once that is done, I'm going to go ahead and probably put that in the next meeting packet for the commission to have a look at it.
So is there a motion to accept the airport manager's report, unless there's other questions?
Mr. Chairman,
Okay.
I second John's motion.
Motion made and seconded. Mr. Sheehan?
Yes.
Yes.
Mr. Cochran?
Yes.
The chair votes yes. Thank you. Thank you, Russ. Am I still garbled?
Yes.
At times, Mr. Chairman, right now, to me, you sound fine, but at times you're actually, sound is getting a little wavy.
Okay. Next on the agenda, the ALP. As you recall, we voted on this back in August. And we brought to the attention of the engineer that there's an area where the parking lot out front and the area on the hill where the future building could go in the observation area was not identified as non-aeronautical use, even though it showed up in the technical master plan as such. So the plan has been revised to show the non-aeronautical use for the parking lots out front in the observation area and the area for the future building restaurant. So look for a motion to accept the ALP with the new date of September 21, 2020.
And motion to accept the ALP.
Second,
Motion made and seconded. Mr. Sheehan,
yes.
Mr. Corcoran,
Yes.
chair votes yes. Next on the agenda, we have a commercial permit application. Russ, do you want to go over it?
Mr. Chairman, this is actually a renewal commercial permit application for Elite Aero Services. This is a company that provides dry wash on the airport. It's actually an environmentally friendly operation in that there's no wet wash going into storm drains, hypothetically, and then out into the Neponset River, which would, this is something we want to avoid here. So this is a company that has operated in the past. They have requested and received 2 waivers, which are up for consideration today. These are waivers on under our minimum standards rented space and a commercial tie down. Essentially, this is a mobile operator, and you'll see in the August 15th letter, they would like to have those 2 minimum standard requirements waived. Again, this is a renewal application. A company that really should have submitted their renewal back in July, and a little late coming to it, but they've been historically a good operator on the airport.
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Sheehan,
I make a motion to approve and allow for the 2 exemption, rented space and commercial tie downs, as we have done this in the past.
motion
second.
made and seconded. Mr. Sheehan,
Yes.
Mr. Corcoran,
Yes.
and Mr. Ryan votes yes. Next on the agenda. Under old business, my apologies. Southern Airways, a couple of things going on with them. They were looking for a solution for de-icing their aircraft. And Russ will talk briefly where that stands right now.
Mr. Chairman, since the last meeting, I've been in communication with Flight Level. They have made it clear to me that at the present time, they'd like to postpone their interest in aircraft de-icing. Southern Airways is aware of this and has said that it will plan to use a heated hangar in lieu of aircraft de-icing with chemicals.
Okay, so there's no action required, and that is, for the time being, taken off the table.
Correct.
The other request by Southern Airways Express was to identify up to 10 spaces to be reserved for their customers. And Russ has provided a plan for that location. I think it's good that you put them together so they're not scattered around. It'll help Russ and Mark Raymond in the snow removal operations. And it's sort of out of the way from any other businesses, so we wouldn't be taken away from that. I think it's a good plan. The one thing I'd like to discuss is, do we charge Southern Airways Express a nominal annual fee for the benefit of reserving those spots.
Mr. Chairman?
Mr. Sheehan?
Yeah, question A through you to Russ. Russ, in this picture, it shows 9 vehicles parked in, and looks like 8 vehicles parked in kind of the spots identified. Do we know whose vehicles those are and where those people work?
Those particular vehicles, I'm not sure which ones they are. I know that the FAA has a tendency to sometimes long-term park vehicles in that particular part of the main lot. So I would obviously have to coordinate with FAA to get a alternate parking for them. Otherwise, it's just parking probably for either the airport or the dialysis center. And that changes day to day.
Okay, and the dialysis has rights to park there?
They actually own the southernmost part of the lot that is not identified in the yellow box. There's a section of the lot to the very south that is a private lot. But sometimes their customers end up in the public lot.
Mr. Sheehan brings up a great point that is an active area, obviously.
Yes, so
Is there-
you know, there's parking there now, and as I look at this top photograph, and hopefully everyone has it in front of them, and there's 10 spots along the grassy area with only 1 car parked in it. And I think that would be, just in my mind, a better spot, because obviously no one's using that. Also be, I think, easier to keep the snow clearance out of there. And with those spots, you know, I'm not seeing any revenue or seeking, it's just me seeking any revenue, but I am in favor of this, but I'm not in favor of the location. I'd rather see it put along those 10 spots where that 1 car is. And that's just my feeling on it, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Chairman, the only problem with that is that actually becomes something of a snow dump during the course of the winter season. That's where our snow contract actually piles the snow. If we were to turn that into an active parking area during an active snow season, we would most likely end up paying more money to have the snow hauled off the airport property. Keep that area clear.
For that information, with that, and I'd rather see that you've identified moved all the way to the left where there's just 1 car parked along the island.
I agree, Mike, Mr. Sheehan. That seems to be the less utilized area that wouldn't encroach on any of Russ's operations. So I would support that.
The area you're talking about, right under the Southern Airways Express parking, 10 spaces tag, those 5 spaces right there, under the white box?
Yes.
On the top picture?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yes.
so it's
So
just
my
moving those to the other side of that row.
So my motion would be
Correct.
to move the parking spots to the 10 spots that join that island there, and time. And that would be my motion to allow for 10 spaces for aircraft. And I am not for that right now. That's
Thank you. Motion has been made.
Second, to the location that Mr. Sheehan has identified.
as well as no fee at this time, correct, Mr. Sheehan?
That's correct. And I would ask
Okay,
Mr.
so
Chairman,
motion has been made.
Second.
second, yeah, and I just would ask Russ if you could just, for the record, just redraft this draft so that it shows the spots there. And we make that part of the file so everyone's clear on where that is. And the other thing is, Russ, signage. I would expect that signage would have to be put there, and I would say to me that that cost should be put on Southern Airways Express.
I agree. Thank you, Mr. Sheehan. So we have a motion in a second. Mr. Sheehan,
Yes.
Mr. Corcoran,
Yes.
and the chair votes yes. Okay, we have a number of items, correspondence. Any discussion or
Motion to place all the correspondence on file.
Second.
motion made and second? Mr. Sheehan?
Yes.
Mr. Corcoran,
Yes.
and the chair votes yes. All right, so unless anyone has any further, we do have an executive session. One for the executive session minutes. And the second, as the members know, and the public will know very shortly, that after many months and really years of Norwood Airport Commission trying to guide, assist, and help out BEH, we came to a settlement agreement, and we've worked very diligently to get this accomplished, and we feel we've done everything we need to do, and unfortunately, BEH is not in agreement and is filing back in court. So unfortunately, the saga continues. So we're going to go in executive session to discuss that with counsel. So I'll look for a motion for executive session for the minutes, plus for purpose 3, for executive session to discuss strategy with respect to litigation of an open meeting may have detrimental effect on the litigating position of the Norwood Airport Commission and Boston Executive Helicopter.
Mr. Chair, just to be, Mr. Chair,
Yes,
this is
yes,
Mina
Mr. Macarius.
I would just add on your end, if you can just explain in one sentence whether you believe that we're discussing this in open session would have a detrimental position on litigating. I know you said that, but it is your opinion that it would, correct? To discuss this in open session?
That is my opinion. Yes, thank you, Mr. Macarius. That is my opinion, that discussing this in open meeting may have a detrimental effect on the litigating position.
Thank you.
The Norwood Airport Commission versus Boston Executive Helicopter. And after that executive session is complete, we will not be coming back to public session, but we'll be closing the executive session and the open session at that time. Is there a motion?
So moved.
And second.
Motion made and seconded. Mr. Sheehan,
Yes.
Mr. Corcoran,
Yes.
and Mr. Ryan votes yes, the chair. Thank you, everyone. Have a great day.
This conference is no longer being recorded.